Hi, my amazing planner friends. It's Jess from My Magical Planner, and today I'm going to be answering one of the biggest questions I've been seeing out there, which is how good is the Hobonichi paper? So here I have just about every type of pen that I could think of, as well as markers to test on the various papers. So just to give you an idea, let me try and grab all these. So I'm going to be testing all of these on my new Hobonichi Cousin for this year, which is the 2025, the 2025 Common Planner, the oldest Hobonichi Cousin that I have, which was the 2021 one, which has the old Hobonichi paper in it. I have last year's Common Planner and last year's Hobonichi Cousin. So I'm going to be going through and making essentially the same exact swatches in all of them and seeing how they compare. Now I am going to video me swatching everything out, but we're going to speed it up because that'd be kind of boring otherwise. And then we'll go through and compare them all at the end.
If there is something we need, it's a leap of faith. A step away from the comfort zone and be a little brave. So take a look around you. How far can you see? How far do you think you can run standing on your knees? It's a beautiful world out there. Just don't pass on the dare. If you have the will and a moment to spare, it's a beautiful world out there. It's a beautiful world out there. It can be a bit frightening with something you don't know. You need a little enlightening. It'll make you grow. It's a beautiful world out there. Just don't pass on the dare. If you have the will and a moment to spare, it's a beautiful world out there. It's a beautiful world out there. Oh, it's a beautiful world out there. And just don't pass on the dare. If you have the will and a moment to spare, it's a beautiful world out there. It's a beautiful world out there. Oh, if you have the will and a moment to spare, it's a beautiful world out there. It's a beautiful world out there.
All right, let's take a closer look at these. So I'm going to start off with my Hobonichi Cousin for 2024, and we're going to go through what pens specifically I swatched so you know that as we look through all of these. So I have the Uni Jetstream multi-pen. It's a 0.5 and has black, red, green, and blue inks in it. Then I had a Sharpie S-Gel, which was purple in a 0.7. We have Sarasa Dry in a 0.5, that's just black ink. We have an Energel Clina in 0.5 black ink, a Jetstream 0.7 blue ink. Then we have this Pilot Ilium. I honestly don't know how to say it. It's Ilmily, and it has cherry and peach colors in it. It's one of those ones where you like rub off the one color and it does the other color. My husband brought that back from Japan for me, and it's in a 0.4. Then we have a Faber-Castell gel pen. I don't know the size of that one. I didn't see it on the pen. Then I have a fine liner from Right Tech that's a pigment ink, and it says 04 on it. So I don't know if it's a 0.4, but I think so. And then I have the Microperm Ultrafine 01, a Simply Gilded gel pen. And then I have 3 fountain pens here because I do a lot of writing in these with my fountain pens. So I picked a medium nib fountain pen with a black ink, a fine tipped pen with a black ink, and then my Sailor Tuesday, which I think might have a medium. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that one has a blue ink, just to give me 3 different ink to kind of gauge from. And then down at the bottom is where I put all the markers. So at the top we have the Zebra Click Art. That's kind of a bluish color. Then I have a zebra brush pen. This is a metallic green. Then we have the Right Tech. I think it's a brush pen. It's this one right here. It wasn't writing the best on the fine tip, but it also has a brush tip. It's a really light color, but it's the only one like that that I have. Then we have the Zig Clear color dot marker. So this is the fine point and then the dots. And I tried to do like some of them as quick dots and some of them as I was pushing down a little longer and leaving it there to see if there would be any variation there. And then we have a Right Tech. This was a fine line and then it has a brush tip as well. This was a highlighter from Right Tech as well. Then we have the Zebra mild liner. I just picked one at random and that with a color that I thought would be obvious. Then, so I grabbed out a purple Tombow that was an alcohol-based marker, but it's so light in here that I did grab out a second alcohol Tombow here so that we could see the difference between the alcohol Tombows and the water-based Tombows, because there is a difference there. And then I have Archer and Olive pens here. These came out in their subscription box. So they're these. They have like a chiseled tip and a fine tip. So the reason there's not a second swatch on the first color and why I picked a second pen is because this one blew up on me. It like leaked ink all over the page. So when we get to that particular planner, you'll see I'm expecting it bled through a lot more because there was just a lot of ink. I even ended up dabbing as much off as I could. So that is why there is only the fine tip on the one and then the fine tip and the chiseled tip on the other. As far as bleed through from this last year, and I did label it up here so when I'm looking at the back of the page, I know which planner I'm looking at. So the bleed through is not horrible. So the pens up here at the top, I would say I see ghosting, but I don't actually see any ink coming through. And then there's just a tiny bit with the pigment fine liner on the top and the micro perm, and all the other pens seem to be fine. The click art, I definitely see some ghosting, and maybe just a teeny bit of bleed through at the, the tail end. Surprisingly, this brush pen was fine. I mean, it's ghosting, but the Right Techs and the dot markers were fine. The Right Tech, brush pen, which was in red, seems to be fine. It did get a little bit, I think that's the highlighter. Yes, at the very end where maybe it had, when you pull your pen up, you get a little bit more ink on the tail end of that. The mild liner has a teeny bit of bleed through here, and maybe at the end here, but otherwise seems fine. The Tombows, I mean, there's a lot of ghosting with these, and it's hard to tell. I think the alcohol-based ones, it's hard to tell with this one, but definitely with the one below, it bled through probably the worst out of anything on here. The water-based one seems fine, and the Archer and Olive ones seem fine as well. So let's compare that to the 2021 Tomoe River Paper. So obviously all the same colors and everything here. So when we flip it over, the one, like there's actually a little bit more bleed through, I would say, on the pigment ink on this one. But all of the pens, I mean, there's some ghosting, but I don't think, I mean, it's maybe a little bit worse in the 2024 comparatively. Like I do see a little bit more maybe ghosting there, but it's not really, like, let's zoom in so you can really see this. It's not atrociously bad. Like I still feel like I can use that and I'm not going to be upset or anything. Is this better? Yes. Is this horrible? No. And I don't know if I got like one of the good ones from last year, because I heard some people say, it depended on the planner, and some people it even depended on the page you were in the planner. Oh, sorry. As far as the bottom portion in this one, the only pen that really bled through, I feel like, was that alcohol-based Tombow, and everything else looks fine. So I think that's where the biggest difference is. I did have a little bit of bleed through here and there on this one. Not a ton, but enough that you could say there was bleed through. All right, now to next year's planner. So this is the 2025. Everything is marked the same. This is the one where that Archer and Olive pen kind of blew up. So I'm expecting a lot of bleed through with that. But otherwise, everything is the same. So when we flip the page to look at bleed through, I'm really disappointed, to be honest. So there shouldn't, like, as far as I know, they didn't make any changes to the paper between the 2025 and the 2024 versions. So why, I don't know. The uni jet streams still look really good. There's no bleed through at all with those. The Sharpie S gel, you have bleed through on that. There's a dot here, 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 and most of that letter. It's just a lot in there, in my personal opinion, especially if I'm expected to write on this other page. So the Sarasa Dry seems fine. The Energel Plena, which is my go-to pen besides my fountain pens, and this planner bled through. So I don't know how well it comes through, but it's not as bad as some of the other ones. But I do have dots that actually came through. So I don't know that I can use that as my go-to, like, on-the-go pen this year. The Jetstream 0.7 was fine. The Pilot was fine. The Faber-Castell gel pen is not. It bled through in several places again. The both of the permanent ink pens here bled through a lot, which I kind of expected, to be honest. And then the fountain pens appear to be fine. Then when we get down here, I even see bleed through with the Zebra Click Art, which surprised me. So we have bleed through there. We have a little bit of bleed through with the dot marker. We have a little bit of bleed through with the highlighter here. There's even bleed through with the Zebra mild liner. It almost looks like the Tombows, like they're darker on this side, but it almost looks like the color is like, it almost looks like you did it on this side, which I was like, wow. And the Archer and Olive ones, besides the one that blew up, seem okay. This one did take ink all the way over here. Let's see. Yeah, on that side. But that seems to be as far as it went. Okay. Is the Hobonichi Tomoe River paper worse this year than last year? I would say yes. And is the Tomoe River paper for 2024 worse than the original? Also yes, although this one didn't seem as bad to me. Now let's compare this, and I'm going to use these two as my comparisons for the most part, to the Common Planner. Let's start with the Common Planner from this year, which is 2024. So again, here are all my swatches and everything. So we'll turn the page. And as far as bleed through, we have a little bit with the permanent ink pens and the alcohol-based Tombow down here, and maybe a little bit of the click art. Yeah, definitely click art. Oh, and maybe just a tiny bit from the dot markers, honestly. So I would say that this is probably on par to the 2024 Hobonichi as far as, you know, how it all looks. It's a little bit worse than the original Tomoe River here, just because I do have a little bit of bleed through with the click art where I don't have that here, and a little bit more, I would say, bleed through on the permanent ink pens, maybe. So there's that one. And let's see how this coming year, the 2025 version, stacks up. Sorry. So again, everything's wrote here. pretty much the same. I did mark these on here that they were alcohol based. I think this is the first one I did. So let's see, bleed through. The purple is bleeding through. I think the pigment-based inks are bleeding through, and the Faber-Castell bled through a little bit. I did get some, again, bleed through with the zebra click art and the dot marker here, and obviously the alcohol-based Tombow, as well as, surprisingly enough, I think this is the only one that did it, but the Archer and Olive pens bled through on the end. We're going to look at the two common planners next to each other so that we can get a better judge. Okay, I would definitely say the 2025 has a lot more bleed through than the 2024. Wait. My fountain pen bled through on this one. It's the only one I think it bled through on. Hold on. So it's only on this one that it bled through. And that's the medium tip. Okay. All right, guys. In conclusion, I would say that the Tomoe River Paper from the Hobonichi Cousin and the Common Planner are probably about equal, honestly. So I don't know that there's a big difference there. I do think that the paper quality is maybe a slight downgrade from last year. I'm seeing a little bit more bleed through. I do think the fountain pens or the Uni Jetstream are probably going to be your best bets for pens in the planner. Some of the other ones are okay as well. The Sarasa Dry seemed really good, honestly. I wouldn't use a gel pen. I wouldn't use a permanent ink pen. I'd stay away from the Tombow alcohol markers, and I'm not even sure about the mild liners and all of those. I would test them first. It might depend on the color you're using, how much you're going to see on the other side. And then in an overall sense, yes, the paper is for sure different and worse than the original Tomoe River paper. That's not something they're going to be able to fix. That paper is gone. It is what it is. This paper is the best we have at this point. I do wonder if there is some, not in the manufacturers of the planners themselves, but the manufacturer of the paper, if maybe they started doing something a little different, which is causing more bleed through. Let me know if you got your planners, if you're seeing more bleed through, if you did any pen test or anything. I'd be interested to know, because I know in the past, some people have said, oh, this, 2 pages in my planner were really bad, but the rest of it was fine. And some people have said, oh, some pages are worse than others. So there may be some inconsistencies throughout the planner. I don't know how you would fix that, because it is such a complex process to make paper. So the world's not perfect. I wish it was. But that being said, there definitely have been some changes over the years. And yes, I am seeing more bleed through in the 2025 planners. Is that going to deter me from using these planners? Absolutely not. Am I going to be more conscious of what inks I'm using? Yes. Might even use more stickers. I like me some stickers. So bleed through doesn't really happen on stickers, Just saying. Anyhow, so those are my general thoughts over the Tomoe River paper for this year and how it compares to last year's and the original Tomoe River paper. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope it was helpful. If you guys have any additional questions on all of this, let me know. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button over there. And until next time, I'll see you guys real soon.